chaos, but that's fine. And we're live. Wow, that was quicker than usual. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plate Stack Chat on a Sunday. Yes, it feels a little weird, but here we go. So this is a special one. We had a good time getting to know the various players on the teams in the United Grid League leading up to their big match in Vegas. Well, not only has that come and gone, but we've also had the championship matches and can officially welcome the 2024 Grid League champions onto the show. We have two returning guests and one making their debut. So first up, we have the owner of CrossFit eFit. She is a CrossFit level 3 with access to a lot of guns, so you better make sure you're squat below parallel. But more importantly, she is a 2024 Grid League champion. It is Vilma Rosario.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me back, Jason.
And I haven't mentioned that it's the Wilds. Obviously, it's the Wilds, Atlanta Wilds, Wilds. There it goes. Just in case anyone didn't know who had one. We've stressed it already. But Vilma, of course, you're not alone. You have come back with, once again, the 2023 Utility Player of the Year, who, of course, now in 2024 is a Grid League champion as well. She is a presence on the grid, but if you partner her up with Griffin Rowley, then just get out of their way. It is, of course, Amanda Fischer.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me back, Jason.
Thanks for coming back. You both know that you probably crossed the finish line in the final race, and it was maybe a minute after that I DM'd all of you to be like, so when are you coming on for the victory lap? Let's do it. Now, unfortunately, Sydney, well, she could not be with us today. Now, some say it's because she had to work. I think she might still be finishing up the burpees that she got during the Wilds fundraiser. But who could we get to take her place? Who could possibly hold their own against these two? It is, of course, the co-owner of the Wilds, among the list of many other things that I won't mention that she also is co-owner of, I believe. She seems very busy, but still has time to join us here. It is Mia Austreng Hibbard.
Mama Mia.
Hi. Hello.
Just comes on and poses. That's right. Oh, the squad. Okay, we've already got people in the comments. So, Johnny, welcome. So first, let's start. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Do you all walk a little taller now that you are officially the champions? Is the weight of that sort of on your shoulders at all? I mean, how has life changed for you?
I will say, like, from the very beginning, Jim from Valor Fitness called it. He, from match one, was like, you guys have the potential to really be the champions this year. I think moving past like our Tampa matches, we definitely like were ready to go for these other ones. Like, it was a force to be reckoned with. I think a lot of people underestimated us and probably didn't pick us to move on beyond the initial playoff match, but surprise.
Yeah, I mean, we got better and better as the season went on. And yeah, it just feels really good. So it's always nice being the underdog and coming out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that I called it. I said, this is our year. Yeah. And it happened.
And there was no bias. There was no reason that you were...
Never a doubt. I knew they could do it.
Yeah. I heard you said, we're going to wear red this year. That is the color of champions. So, in fact, you're wearing red right now.
He is wearing red right now.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I made a big mistake in I spoke to too many teams during this season as like individual people and not just as team. You know, it's easy to like root for or against a team when they're just this kind of unknown entity that is a team. But when you start to get to know all the players, then you're like, oh, I quite like that person. I hope they do well. But I also really like the people on that team. So I hope they do really well. So that's why I'm not very good at the whole sport thing. I just, I like people too much. But of course, I mean, you guys were one of the most interesting episodes of this show that I had.
Well,
what can we say?
But let's, before we talk about the championship, can we just go back to Vegas? Because like that, I mean, let me tell you how I feel about it. First of all, having spent, weeks interviewing all the teams that were going to be present at Vegas for this match and really hyping it up and telling people how it was going to be, this massive grid event and wow. And then there was this like little storm and people got scared and just decided they weren't going to go and play grid. Vilma, you were one of them.
I showed up
Only
against
on Friday. She was
That is
only
true.
afraid on Friday. She made it.
And it was
Saturday.
like where we live, you know, obviously we lost power for a little bit and whatnot, but you just couldn't fly out. Like
Yeah.
Orlando, literally, like the roadway washed out. So it was like, I can't leave.
Yeah, I have. I think I did. I did have your back in the like live chat and stuff
Thanks.
when people were saying kind of like, oh, the storm wasn't as bad as people made out. I was like, yeah, that's not the problem. It's
Right.
it's not that she doesn't want to go or in general athletes, it's not like they don't want to go. I know I've spoken to many of them. They are in airports or at home because their flights have been cancelled. They just cannot get out. So
Mhm.
what do you want them to do?
Vilma, how many different ways did we try to figure out how to get you out of Florida?
Like 20 different ways, honestly. And it was like I kept on rebooking. And then, like, of course, I don't think they have hurricanes in England, right? I'm kidding. I know they don't. But there's called hurricane snacks. And so, like, you prepare to be out of power and know, like, you can't open the refrigerator. So you buy, like, just junk food. So for me, it was like Nutella and trail mix from Target. And so I'm sitting there on the couch. I'm obviously sad that I can't go to Vegas. I've been preparing all this time. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to eat all my hurricane snacks. And then I found a way to get to Vegas, and Mia's like, please come. And so I arrived weighed down and fueled by hurricane snacks.
Yeah.
We're in Nutella. That was the text message.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Was there any point during the race on the next day where you were just like, maybe these hurricane snacks were a mistake?
You could see that like my stomach's like inflamed and bloated because I don't eat like that. And I literally caught a red eye and arrived in Vegas. And I was so amped up that I didn't sleep at all. Plus, like, and my teammates know this, and Mia does too, I'm weird about sleeping in Airbnbs. I'm like a diva when it comes to like sleeping. So those mattresses in that Airbnb in a bunk bed were like bricks. It was insane. So I didn't sleep a lick, competed, feeling like shit, and then came back here and worked the next day. It was crazy.
That is impressive. I just have to quickly pull up Jeffrey's comment here. I'm currently traveling, but saw you on, wanted to say hi. Have a great show. Have fun. Thank you, Jeffrey. He joined a lot of the grid shows actually and chipped in. He learned a lot about grid over the last couple of months. And he also joined on the live show the other day that was at like 7 a.m. in Texas. So I was really impressed with that. So thank you, Jeffrey. Have safe travels, I guess. Ooh,
thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
So okay, so Vegas wasn't, the dream that we were all hoping it was going to be.
No.
But hey, who cares about Vegas?
Yeah.
Because then we had the championship matches. So now you're saying that people, they didn't have your back going into this. They didn't have you. Who? So from what you were hearing. They will next year. Gee, don't worry, we'll talk about next
year. Probably not. No, I'm just kidding.
Amanda, you're the reigning champ. It would be crazy if we ever had these kind of events where somebody was the champion and then yet showing up to an event, people didn't think they were really the champion and that perhaps other people would beat them. I mean, it would never happen within CrossFit, would it?
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
Hate us because you ain't us.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping my mic's not picking up. I can hear my daughter shouting very loudly in the other room, even though she should be in bed. It's a school night. But,
your Filipino daughter.
My half Filipino daughter, yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. How would you know that, Mia? Yeah, that's all me. So I've spoken to Vilma and Amanda. We talk grid if we're ever messaging. It's about grid or coming on this show. But Mia and myself, it's just Tagalog talk. It's just Filipino chat.
Well, you know way more Tagalog than I do.
Yeah, well.
Is that the language? Because I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard that before.
Mia, you're not teaching these ladies, your heritage.
Yeah, come on, Mia. We did go to what was that?
No, I took Amanda, Pat, and Griffin to Jollibee when we were in Florida last year.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last season.
I've only ever been to. So there is a Jollibee in London. So I have been there.
I love it. I was sad that I didn't go when we were in Vegas. And the closest one we have here is all the way down in San Antonio. So it's like like a 2-hour drive for me.
Yeah. So I had it, and I think I had it maybe the week before I interviewed. I can't remember her name now. I want to say Aaliyah. Anyway, she's the only Filipino that qualified to like the Far East Throwdown. So actually, from the Philippines, qualified for semifinals.
Aaliyah Lau.
Yes.
Aaliyah?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know her, but RJ competed with her back in 2019 when he did the Khalees Games in Manila.
Right. Okay. And we spoke about Jollibee when she came on the show. And so I was surprised. Chicken's really good. It surprised me how good it was.
It's our pride and joy.
But let's talk about the spaghetti.
Yes. Wait, hold on. What about the spaghetti?
What about the spaghetti? I lived in Italy for 10 years. So my sort of experience with pasta is very different. I had it. It was fine. But I did say it kind of feels like the spaghetti you'd make for a child. It's very sweet. It's there we go.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. You know what? You don't have to like it, okay? You don't have to hate on it either.
I'm not hating on it. I'll have you know, before coming on this show, I ate adobo. So I am.
He's indoctrinated. He's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is.
Well,
Filipino spaghetti is made with banana ketchup.
What?
So it is sweet. It is not like a classic like marinara sauce. It is different.
What is banana ketchup? Like
I have a bottle of it downstairs.
is it made from bananas?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Don't knock
I'll
it.
try it. I'll try it.
Try it.
I'm not gonna tell you try it.
So that was Filipino chat. That's done. that wasn't on my list of notes. But,
you need to get Dana and I on here together.
Yeah, come on. Well, Dana said she'll come on.
And we
already mentioned it to her.
Filipino and how we're not super Filipino at all.
I'll get my wife on at the same time, and then she can really.
Oh boy.
Get my mom on here.
Yeah, they can have a chat. Yeah, that will be interesting. Okay, well, yeah, that was my. I mean, this is another. So, like at Rogue, that was my do an interview with someone, get the interview, brilliant, and then before I let them go, be like, oh, by the way, I also have this show that I do, and you know, if I reached out, would you be up for coming on here? So I have now a list of athletes that have sort of said yes. So I'm. So of course, Dana was one of those. Of course, she was one of those. Anyway. Who cares about that? That's my stuff. That doesn't matter. We're talking about the champions of grid right now. I've got to stay focused. I cannot remember what we were even talking about before we got sidetracked. Anyway, never mind. Well done. So, yes, this is what I was going to ask you is in your, because it was about people not calling you to win. All right. And then Amanda said, they hate you because they hate you, and then I got distracted, but now I'm back in. What I wanted to know was from like what you would hear when people were talking about the season or when people were talking about grid in general, who did you feel they were pushing then as like it's this team or this team, or was it one team in particular? Was it a couple of teams and just your name wasn't included, which is probably worse than if it's like one team? What impression did you get going in?
Oh, it was pretty one team heavy, and it was the Sharks. I'm just gonna say it as it is. Like the Sharks were the team to beat all season. So
undefeated, and like I think weren't they supposed to have a match in Vegas like against the Aces, and it didn't happen? Against the Aces or the Lions, one of those two. And I think like they were hoping it was a rematch at the championship of like the Aces and the Sharky Poos. Sorry.
Oh wow. Okay. We're ready for the 2025 rivalry. It's kicking off right now.
But I think that was like the favored like championship lineup, at least what they expected. For people that didn't keep up with the season, our match against the Aces in Tampa was not our best showing, so I think that they expected a repeat of that. Hold surprise. We whooped some ass that match, and then more ass the match after. So
I will say though, if you talk to the the refs, the volunteers, like the staff, like out on the grid doing all the equipment and stuff. I felt, at least I heard from them a lot. We're like, we're picking you. We're like, we're rooting for you. Like, we want you guys to take it all. So I think on like inside, like people watching, I think we're really rooting for us, but like within the league, I don't think anybody, and like if you looked at just kind of like the stuff that the league put out social media wise, it was never really highlighting the Wild or really pushing us to be at the top. But I think people on the outside and like, again, the people who are on the grid helping out, they were, I think, at least from my perspective, there's a good amount of them that were actually really rooting for us. So that was really cool to see.
I won't name names, but there
you
was
can't
a
say I
lot
will
of
not name
people,
names.
a lot of people who were rooting for the Wild.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of players too. Like once it came down to the championship match, a lot, if not the majority of the players were like, please beat them. So
Please beat them.
Which we did.
Oh, that sounds like it's like we don't care who wins as long as they don't win. That's
Well, like I said, like it really was like when you look, if you go back and watch things, it really was like, and it's nothing to take away from the Sharks. They're a great team. Like they were undefeated. Like, so theoretically, yeah, they were the team to beat. But when you have that one, it's kind of like freaking Tom Brady and the Patriots, right? When they were on there, like winning every freaking year, basically. At that point, people were like, "Oh, just anybody but the Patriots," right? When we're like if we look at NFL, but like, and so I felt like it was a lot like that. I think whoever was going to go up against the Sharks in the championship, it was going to be like, beat them,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Apart from the Sharks, they were like, no, let us
Well,
win.
yeah, apart they obviously wanted them to win, but too bad.
Yeah, okay. And they didn't. Well, what happened to your gymnastics specialists going into the final day of
Tyler.
competition?
Oh, are you talking about why we had to concede the Jack and Jill?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tyler tore his lat when we were in Vegas. And then the next up would have been RJ, who just like, that's a movement he's never been able, or he's never done before. So that was just super, super high risk. You know, I would not, I'm not the coach. I trust Dan completely with all of his decisions, but just personally, and not even just as like RJ's wife, but like, well, yes, as his wife. I'm sorry, my husband's shoulders aren't worth it. Sorry. But you know, like that's just super high risk. It's a new movement. You're putting someone in a very, very like high intensity situation. You never know what's going to happen. And that was just, it was a smart decision for us. So, but you know, here's 3 free points for you.
Right. And that's the part that I think people who don't follow grid understand. Like, that was risky as hell for us to do and really not an ideal situation. I don't think there's ever been a race where someone's actually conceded in it. And it wasn't because we couldn't do something or we were just trying to take the easy way out. It was a decision that we made as a team for the A, to keep our athletes safe, but B, because we knew that it would not be worth it to even do the bar muscle ups or ring muscle ups. At that point, like from a strategic standpoint, we had a very short turnaround between our first match of the day and our second match. So that's another thing that they don't talk about either. We played the 11 o'clock match, and matches are about 2 hours long. And then we turned around and played the 3. So there was a lot of factors going into that. But the fact that we conceded that, lost that bonus point, and we still had it in the bag before we even finished sprint relay is crazy. That's crazy.
And we obviously didn't know that was going to be the case. We didn't know we were going to win the 7 races prior to that.
Right.
Like it was a risky move, but we also knew we weren't going to finish that race. We were going to take 0 points. We were hoping they were maybe going to throw their bonus leg on the female triad instead of the Jack and Jill, but they didn't. But yeah, I mean, so we knew it was a risky move, but we had to do it, unfortunately, just because it, like they said, it wasn't worth the potential injury of a teammate. Okay,
so a couple of things. I mean, I love all of this. I love that Vilma said, and the thing they're not talking about, and we're literally talking about it now. So this is why we're talking about it.
Yeah,
someone's talking about it.
Yes, thank goodness.
Let's talk about it. I also love Mia being like, I trust him completely and I would never have said these things, and I can just envision her standing very close by saying these things quite loudly about how her husband's shoulders maybe need to be protected as well as his head.
I totally get her sentiment though,
Yeah.
because Dan, our coach, reached out to Pat Long on the team, who's my boyfriend, and like 4 days before the match being like, hey, do you think you want to try these? And I whipped out my phone. I'm texting Dan. I said, I swear, if Patrick gets hurt, I am going to be so mad. He better not get hurt. So like, I get her sentiment, because those backward roll to supports, low key, probably one of the most dangerous movements on the grid. And especially if you've never done them before. Like if you watched it, you saw it. They're basically doing a backflip in the rings and have to like, I don't want to try it. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, and I think like apart from like zoom out again from the Wilds and your season and your matches and races and everything, like just look at grid as a whole, look at the the things people already say about grid. Can you imagine if somebody did injure themselves doing that? Like at least now we kind of justify a lot of stuff of being like, yeah, but I mean, we're not asking the strength specialists to do these crazy gymnastics movements. We're using gymnastics specialists. So they're people that, they practice these things, they train. Yeah, to you, it looks crazy, it looks impossible, but, they know what they're doing. And you then, well, we just needed someone. So we just threw this person in and told them have a go. And then they get injured. Like that's just bad PR across the board for the team, for the league, for everything. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then, like to Vilma's point, I think as well, where you had maybe more eyeballs on the match than usual and not an understanding of how it works. It's like there isn't, you don't get points for trying. You have to finish within a certain amount of time or you get 0 points. So it's not even like, well, you could have got 1 point. So, okay, we'll come second and we'll get 1 point. It's like, no, if you've not got someone that's going to finish this race for you, you're getting 0 points.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you know you're getting 0 point, I guess the only thing that could have changed slightly is that, if you had taken the field, without any indication of, I guess it depends how much they already know as well about the makeup of your team. And if they're thinking, oh, well, we know for sure they don't have anyone who's going to be good at doing this, so we'll throw the bonus flag anyway. But potentially just seeing players on the other side, they might have held off throwing that bonus flag. Maybe hypothetically, but that's like the only difference it could have.
Yeah. Well, we actually were acting like we were going to run it because they had no idea we weren't going to run it.
Yeah.
They threw their bonus flag before they knew we weren't going to run it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like so they didn't throw that after.
She was out there. Sydney was out there doing bar muscle ups. I mean,
Amanda put a box out there like somebody needed. Like we were hamming it up. We're like, oh, we're totally about to run this race. But like the thing is, we already knew that they were going to throw. Like, well, okay, we assumed, we didn't know for sure, but the smart choice for them would have been to throw, because I'm gonna call a spade. Even if we had run that race, if Tyler hadn't been hurt and we had somebody for the backward roll to supports, the Sharks would have won. The Sharks would have beat us in that race.
That was like the perfect workout for them.
Yes, like their gymnastics specialists, their bodyweight specialists are the best in the league. They have the best bodyweight specialists. So they were going to beat us in that race whether we ran it or not. So we knew it was a very high possibility that they were going to throw it on that one or the female triad. Obviously, we were hoping for the female triad just because we were obviously going to run that. We were going to get 1 point for that one no matter what. So the 3-0 swing was kind of like not ideal, but they did throw it before they knew we weren't running it.
I'll forgive them for that then. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, at least it kept things exciting, didn't it? That was,
made them think they had a chance.
So, like,
I'm sorry, I had to.
So, as a spectator, like, what was your thought when you saw that we weren't going to do that race? Like, just out of curiosity, because I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody.
Oh, see, I don't think it's fair to ask me because I think I know too much about how grid works now.
Oh.
And I think, and it's literally as I said, it's like, oh, if you're not going to finish, then what's the point? Like, there is no point. But I don't think other people, that's where I saw, people in chats and stuff being like, oh, minimum work requirement, something like that to be put up. which it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like, well, yeah, but you're also guaranteeing the other team points. So you're, forcing you to do some move. And I guess
the
I guess
minimum
again,
work requirement, we'd still get 0 points anyway, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And also I don't think people see, okay, that okay, they're coming from a CrossFit functional fitness background, individual team competition outlook, right? So this is the statement is, well, hold on, you're fresher because you've not put people through this race. But depending on what the next race is, on which players you're using at different times, like it could be almost entirely different athletes that you're sending on the next race anyway. So sort of
which
being
it pretty much was.
Yeah, so being like a minimum work requirement, or because then they need to be as tired. If they're then sitting on the bench, like who cares if they're as tired? It doesn't make sense. I get for the spectacle side of things, it's like spectators out there being like, oh well, we came to watch, but hey, stand on the other side of the grid and watch that team do it. They've still got to do it. So you're going to still get to see some fitness. I mean, I've been at events in the past where like people haven't lifted and things like that, and it's a little bit kind of, you see them maybe walk up to the bar and then just wave, and you're like, yeah, I was hoping we'd see something. So I get that it's a bit disappointing, but also that side of your brain is fighting against but like, if you cannot finish it's not like it's like when you tell people with like doing RX in the open, right? You're like, just do RX in the open. You do one, if you can deadlift that bar once, that's put your score higher than everybody who's done. So I would tell people like if it's starting with the deadlift and they're like, well, that's my 1 rep max. I'm like, okay, deadlift it once, that's your score, then change the weight and do the workout so you get to have a fun workout. But when you put in your score, that 1 rep is worth more than your whole scaled score.
Yeah,
because that's the scoring system for the open. But you're in a situation where that 1 rep gets you nothing at all. So why bother? Yeah, stay, relax, have a drink, watch the other team, eat some Nutella if you're Vilma, whatever you got to do to get through the day.
Giggle in the background, sit on the floor with Sydney, typical stuff.
Yeah, so I think but I can understand people that have never seen grid before. They come in, this is, I mean, if you've never seen it before, starting at the championship matches, go back, sit and watch through hours of competition leading up to this, so you understand what's going on, and then enjoy. So I could kind of get it from both sides, but
totally.
But so for me, obviously, I was, that was my thought on it and my rationale as well. Like the doing it's going to achieve nothing. So, but
there were more races. Just move on.
I'd say that was 1 out of 12 races. Like,
right. And it's like, it's such a short race too. So it's not like when you watch like a lifting event and everyone's going around and lifting, and then it's like, all right, that person's just sitting there. Like, it's such a fast paced event just in general that it's like, it lasted 2 minutes. Wow. Next thing.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to like, if it's mostly people that have watched CrossFit and the games and things like that. I think it was like Will Morad that didn't do a lift 1 year, and it was like right after the cuts. So there's that idea of, well, hold on, if you knew you weren't going to be able to do that event, but you should have withdrawn before because you've now taken somebody's spot that could have gone through the cut. Like, there's different elements. Or as you said, like, great, we've seen you do nothing, and this is like a 2-hour chunk of time now, just this event, and we're not going to see the next event for another couple of hours, so what a waste of time. But you're like, this is a couple of minutes, and then we go again, and they're going to see some stuff. So and also it's not like we've taken someone else's spot and somebody else could have come and done this. Like, it is what it is. So that's there you go. I'll defend you, don't worry.
Thanks, Jason.
All the way from over here in the UK, defend United Grid League. Why not? Okay. Anyway, then you had to redo the final 2.
The men's triad.
And I say you, pretty much you, right? The men's triad, wasn't it? It was
It was the men's triad.
That had me. that had me on the edge of my seat a bit more, because
Yeah.
I felt like the lead that I might be misremembering now. So I'm trying to remember and remember this was very late for me as well. So I kind of remember them going into that third part with quite a decent lead, and then obviously finishing it well. So then when you remove those first two sections and that lead that they've built up, I think it was because it was freestanding handstand push-ups.
Push-ups and
That's what had
squats,
me. That's what had me worried. I knew if they could get to the barbell, I was like, they'll be fine. That was the bit where I was like, oh, are they going to get? And then they looked like there was a bit of confusion on your side, but then there was confusion on the other side as well. It was a bit chaotic at the end, and then I was like, okay, I think they still will.
I didn't watch it. I literally was in the back, like behind the curtain, like this. So like, I have no idea what happened. Sydney and
Go ahead.
No, Sorry. You're good. I was just saying, like, we've discovered, like, adrenaline dump wise, if we hide in the back during stressful situation, it helps. So I would love some context on this, because I hid in the back.
Wait, did you see me in the back with the curtain over one eyeball?
I didn't see that.
I was back there like this.
Like, I'm watching, but I'm not watching.
I was told, people were like, "Don't watch, Amanda. Don't watch. It's too stressful." I think it was you, Vilma. You were like, "Amanda, just go practice your handstands. Just go practice your handstands."
Like,
but I did watch it, and I rewatched it. I watched the grid feed, and I'll keep my personal thoughts on that rerun to myself a little bit, but I mean, actually, I don't even care. I think that was the stupidest rerun we've ever had to do in our lives. It made no sense. But basically, our guys still did make it to the bar first, but what happened was I don't think the confusion was on our side. It happened on the Sharks. Right. Nick Shappy stepped into the finish line before all of their reps are done, and you can't do that. And so any reps that Roderick was still working on while Nick stepped into the finish line were faults. And so regardless, we obviously ended up winning that rerun, but I do think that rerun was, I mean, we beat them by almost 40 seconds. Our guys beat them by almost 40 seconds in the original run. Like,
it wouldn't have impacted the outcome on the first one, basically.
No, so I'm intrigued by it. I actually had a phone call with Mava the other day. I should have asked him this. We were talking about something else, but I should have asked him about this. So, because I'm always intrigued, like CrossFit rewrite the rule book every week by the sounds of things, but every year there's like changes to the rules, and quite often, especially in like newer sports, changes come because just stuff never happened, right? So like, so I'm interested to know if there will be any rewrites to the rule book with regards to teams not taking the field. That could be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But also, so I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free. I mean, at any time, not just now, but correct me if I'm wrong now. So the reason that they reran that was because of a judging error, is what they said. It was that
allegedly, yes.
Yeah. Hey, I've said of what.
No, I'm saying
I've
you're
said
right.
of what they said.
Yeah. This is not against you.
The judge was counting, and Amanda kept shouting stuff at the judge to distract them, and that's the official story I had.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Basically they one player tagged out, another tagged in, and the judge didn't tell him what he had left to do, kind of thing. Which I'm interested in the fact that, like, who is responsible for knowing how many reps you have to do? Is it the judge? Is it yourself?
It is the athlete.
It should be
like,
the athlete.
If you're coming off the floor, like, because with the triads, like, we have a very specific, like, okay, Amanda's doing this, and then she's taking out Vilma, and then Vilma's doing this, and then Vilma's coming back to take out Amanda, blah, 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 blah. And obviously, you have your ideal situation where it's like, Amanda's going to do 15 reps, and then Vilma's going to do 10. But if something happens, and what it sounds like is the Sharks guy got injured doing something. So if something happens where you don't complete the reps you're supposed to complete, when you go to tag out, you have to tell your teammate what's going on. Like, yes, should the ref have been standing there like this if there were reps left? Sure. But at the end of the day, like in anything, it's on you as the athlete to know what's going on. That's my opinion anyway.
And also, like, typically there's a coach on the sideline too. Like, again, watch it, but like I know if I, like, for example, in one of the triads, I went straight from the pullovers to the freestanding handstand push-ups instead of tagging someone in. And so Dan is like, go back and get Casey. So there should have been someone, a coach or staff member on the sideline. Poor Mia got trucked over by Blake, but there's always somebody on the sidelines to help you. So I agree with Amanda. I didn't understand why they were rerunning it because A, the deficit that we had won by was so big, but B, it was the athlete's responsibility to know what was expected of them. And C, like your coach is there. They should be telling you like, hey, you have 5 reps left.
Yeah. So my other thought about this is, should there be, so I quite like, I quite like that you can rerun stuff. I think that is good when one of the major criticisms, like, often comes after the fact with functional fitness events. It's kind of like, oh, but there was a judging error, and then the judge told them to do 2 more reps. What should they have done? They did 2 more reps. Like, so it's quite nice that if there's an issue, it can be kind of, okay, let's do it again then. Let's see if we can fix it. But considering that you only ever do, it's rare that you're going to rerun like a whole thing. It's always sort of a portion of it. Should there be like a measurement of advantage that goes to the team that was ahead at that point? You know what I mean? So as you're saying, if you got into that zone 30 seconds ahead of the other team, now maybe you don't get a 30-second head start, but should there be some, because if you're saying, well, hold on, we're rerunning these 2 elements,
right?
But we were way ahead of them after the first 2. So surely, like, we've built our strategy for this race based on all of these different elements. But now the final outcome of the race actually only takes into consideration these last 2. So the whole strategy that we will have put together of which players we're sending out and why, or even even which players we potentially used in races coming up to this one because we wanted certain people fresh for this race. Well, now none of that matters because, I don't know, maybe it's like the deck to pistols over the thing. We had someone who's really fast at that. Well, they're not any longer in consideration for this race because it's just come down to a heavy barbell at the end. And, we built more of a gymnastic style team to take on this race with someone who could move the barbell because we knew they'd have enough time versus, I don't know. I'm not on the big board of grid yet, but bring me in, guys. No, but it's just a thought, just something. Mia can maybe speak more to that in her role as
Mather's
one of the owners.
This, don't worry.
What?
I said Mather will listen to this. Don't worry.
Yeah, because you're going to clip it and send it to him.
Well, I think though, I will say, like, with the Tampa match, there was some issues with the judging standards, and Dan and Mia and the whole staff really got together and supported our players in making sure that we make actionable change. And I will give Mather kudos. When it comes to that kind of stuff, he's very receptive to feedback. I think you pose a really great question because, yes, a lead in quadrant 1 and 2 should not just magically evaporate when you do a rerun. I do think that that's something that moving forward, the league should consider, because if we, like we were so far ahead in that male triad, for it to just be negated to nothing. And then especially if you have a specialist movement in those things that you're rerunning, it's hard to rerun those races that quickly. So you do bring up a really good point that I think the league should acknowledge and address, because there are certain instances in certain races where we sometimes are rerunning 2 or 3 times. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in the season of different matches.
Yeah. And I mean, my only hope is that, quite often we hear on like the commentary, they'll be like, well, they've gone to get the rule book. We've got to make sure we're doing things out of the rule book. I just hope if they add this to the rule book somewhere where it'll be like, and maybe it's, maybe a 40-second lead becomes a 4-second head start going into it. Just something like that. It's not necessarily, because we had a minute going in and we were ahead, and they're like, well, here you go, have a minute, see if you can finish that. That would be crazy. But if something like that, and then I just hope that when they put it in, it's like called the Jason rule, or something that's just given my name, and then
laws.
And every time they bring it up, they're like, well, okay, we're gonna have rerun. Oh, and they had quite a lead going in, so according to the bylaws, we've got to use the Jason rule, which is
Enact the Jason clause.
Yes, that's what I want to see.
And then someone will come after you for it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would
someone
be
on the Sharks.
interested. Yeah. I would be interested to hear more, honestly, from like Mather and what went into that decision. Because again, we did win the race by almost 40 seconds. And typically a rerun only happens if whatever happened out on the grid would have potentially changed the outcome of the race.
Yeah.
And I don't know that was a 40-second thing, but maybe it was. I don't know. And so, I mean, they took a long time to make that decision. That was the other thing too. It's like they took a long time, and like people are getting cold, and like we didn't know what was going on. So I'd be curious as to yeah. So I'd be curious to see exactly like, because they didn't like, they don't explain the rationale. They just say this is what happened and this is what we're gonna do. And so I would be interested to hear kind of all of the thought process that went into that decision that I disagree with very much. No offense to the group.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see. Like, I'd love that parallel universe where they reran it and you lost, to see how angry Amanda is about that, because of how much she disagrees with it, despite the fact that you still won. I cannot imagine
when she's pissed about something, because you'll get chalk thrown in your face.
I throw chalk in somebody's face? I didn't throw chalk in anybody's face. I threw chalk in your face?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This was Tampa.
You were in your rage in Tampa, and then here.
I was really mad in Tampa.
I was like, Mia, let me help you.
Yeah, I was really mad in Tampa because we kept shooting ourselves in the foot over and over again. Yeah, I was pissed.
Yeah, but like I think Tampa shows too, like the entire tempo of a race is dictated by like your first two races. Like we had a really not poor, it was just the judging situation and the standard situation made it really hard, right?
That was the
one
pistol.
So we didn't get to rerun that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so like that just carried over to the whole match. Whereas like these last two races our mirror and our partner forward was rock solid, and that just set the tempo for the whole race.
Well, I think too, just as an entire team, like even different from Vegas, obviously different from Tampa, different from even Orlando, like we came in with just such a different focus, and just like we were locked in. Like we didn't let the highs get us too high, and we didn't let the lows get us too low. Like we would like after a race win, we'd be pumped, we'd high five, we'd chest bump, we'd do all that stuff, and then literally everybody to everybody, we're like, okay, breathe, bring it back down, we've got our next one where we have more, like it's time, refocus, we've got the next race. And I think that was really the main difference on what. Why are you laughing?
I know, I'm not laughing. I said you guys did so good. I was so proud of you.
And I think like that was the biggest difference from the Wild on playoff and championship weekend and the Wild the rest of the season. We just like, I don't really know what happened, but literally all of us, just every single person, a switch flipped in our brains, and it was just like locked in.
Yeah,
we were like almost flawless execution.
Yeah.
I will say, like, going into Fort Lauderdale, and big shout out to Riptide CrossFit for letting us borrow their facility. But we walked into that space and it was game on. Dan, he had a plan of what we were going to work on, what we were going to talk about, like what we needed to do. We did our run throughs. Everybody, like if you were in mirror, you're working on mirror together. So there was a lot of cohesiveness within the team and leadership within the team, even within our girls chat, like the plate walkovers. Carrie reached out and was like, hey, like who wants to do these? And Amanda and I are like, we'll try. And Amanda was able to learn them very quickly. Carrie helped me with my pullovers. So like before this match, I had one pullover. I had never strung them together in my life. And I would upload these videos of me like horrifically trying to attempt them. So there was a lot more cohesiveness, I think, going into it. And then having that structure going into the match at practice was really important. So that was, I think, a big difference because we don't practice together ever, really. And having that, I think, really set us up for success so that we were prepared mentally and also strategically before going into the matches that weekend.
Now, it's interesting you said all this because I did observe something over the live stream. So
Okay.
I really wanted to ask Sydney about it, but she's not on. She's not on here. So going into like the last match, you already had it, locked up, right? So some of you were already dancing. You were very happy. You were celebrating on the line. And I don't know if you've gone back and watched the live stream at all, Amanda, but you are dancing and you are trying to get Sydney to start dancing with you. And she is not having it.
Oh yeah, no, that was before. Well, because she was like, that was like halfway through the match. I don't even think we'd done Jack and Jill yet, and I was like, because before the match, Sydney was like, she was kind of like, she was low energy before the match started, so like we're all trying to hype her up, and she's like, I'm fine, and then like we're in there and we're doing really well, and we're like a few races in and we've won, and now it's like, I'm like, come on, Sydney, and she's like, no, I gotta wait till the. But then Vilma, what was the song?
It's some Glorilla song, dude. The DJ already knew because the day before we asked him to play Glorilla, and it was like over. And he knew like Sydney was up to do her thing, so he played it for her, and that was it. No, it was Sexy Red. Sorry, Sexy Red.
That's when she was behind me doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out DJ MP.
He was really good, but
she wasn't having it that first half of the match. She wasn't.
We skipped onto the grid together, and that was like the last like smile I saw for like the first 3 races. So
yeah. Well, I think I said it when she came on, or maybe I said it to you guys when we were like before going live last time, that she always struck me as like really like quite serious, and I was like, this is gonna be hard to. And then as soon as she starts speaking, you're like, oh no, she's crazy. This is great. It was brilliant. It's so much fun. But like. She seemed so dialed in and like locked in when she's on the grid. So but I just saw that and it just made me that's again where it comes back to having spoken with you all.
Yes.
And then seeing that and kind of not being like, oh, okay, I can envision the conversation that's happening, even though I can only sort of see it from the outside.
I was trying to get her to twerk on the boxes behind us.
That's her jam. But it was funny because like I first saw, I think part of it too is like she was out there watching the races at first. And then I told her, I said, yo, you should just hang out in the back. It's way less stressful. Because I saw RJ in the back. And I asked RJ, I said, hey, are you back here because it stresses you out too? And he's like, I can't watch. I was like, perfect. I'm hiding back here too. Not out of lack of support, but like for me to be able to do my part of the job, I got to be in a good place. Because in here is where I struggle the most. And I think after mirror or ladder, she started hanging out with me in the back. And I think that also helped kind of level her out a little bit.
I don't know. I get a feeling like if you said, Mava will listen to this, if this happens, they're going to end up sticking a bench down the side of the grid and being like, and all your players at all times must be on the bench if they're watching. And they're, you've all got like the ear protectors they put on like when the little babies come to watch matches.
Yeah.
So like ear protectors, blindfolds. You just sat there rocking. Wow.
Fetal position.
I do rocking because I mean I don't sit. I pace. They'll tell you I pace back and forth.
Yeah.
Place. Hands behind my back. Like I'm like there's shit going on in my brain. There's nothing going on in my brain. I'm just stressed.
The little hamster's just running in there.
Yeah. I can't sit in the back. I have to watch. I don't know. I can't sit in the back.
Yeah, I couldn't envision you just sitting in the back because then you wouldn't be able to have opinions on everything that happens. You'd be like, how can I be angry about it if I don't know what happened? I need to be there.
True.
I need to see it with my own eyes. Yeah, okay, interesting. Now, when I've spoken with other people at events, that have like won something. Okay, like Adler was at Rogue, so I was speaking to him at the end. So he won that. Well done. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I've got. Then they were going to Italy for a little holiday, and then it's like. Then it's back to training and, it's all about the next season. So like how much kind of from now, so you've just won very recently. Like how much time do you get to kind of just sit in that and enjoy it before you start thinking next season, what are we going to do? So are you already in like the thinking about next season, or are you going to take some time to just enjoy what you've accomplished?
Are you talking about next grid season?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, well, I don't know what you've got planned for next season in general, but next grid season, I'm thinking about grid season.
I'm interested to hear Mia's. answer that question as the owner.
Oh, here's John.
Yeah.
We were talking about
already in next season
while we were doing kamikaze shots at the wharf.
I love that.
And then I don't drink like that. We had to go back to the house. And it was me, John, Dan, RJ, and Blake. And they were all rewatching the match, just kind of like reliving the moment. And John and I, we have our special little Sanrio notebooks that he ordered for both of us. We just have our notebooks out. We're just writing shit down. I wasn't a little tipsy. I was shit-faced. Just
girl, same.
Making my lists, writing down ideas. So we already have quite a bit of a head start on 2025. What the plans are shall not be revealed yet.
What, like nothing? We don't get anything.
But they're there.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
Johnny, just close the tab for a second. Come on, Mia, you can.
You'll never know.
Yeah. Come on. I mean, okay, you don't have to say anything, but are all the people on this call still going to be on the team? You can win. Oh,
I will say that there are, so we have to consider other people are planning, right? Whether or not people actually want to come back. And that's the first thing we need to figure out. Who is actually interested in still playing?
Okay, hold on 1 second, Mia. Vilma, are you still interested in playing?
Yeah.
Amanda, are you still interested in playing?
I'm still interested in playing. I probably have this season and maybe one more, and then I'll take a little break and have babies and then come back.
I will say that I
Can
did write down Vilma's name and I did write down Amanda's name.
There we go.
What I wrote them down for, though.
Kick me off.
Yeah, they're in like the punishment.
I'm camera crew now. I'm camera crew. That's it.
Tyler Watkins, all love here. Yeah. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler. Hello.
Why do we have the horns? What's that for?
He put that when he asked about next season. I think that's a nod to maybe the Bandits. Maybe, I don't know.
What about them?
Tyler's on the barbell with the barbell spin.
Oh,
yeah.
Very cool.
But he's not. He's not going to be on the Bandits.
No, he's not.
He won't even be cheering for them.
Yeah, he'll be cheering for the Wilds.
He'll be cheering for the Wilds, defending champions.
They're returning champions 2 years in a row. That'd be sick.
Yeah. I mean, as an athlete, I am thinking about next season, but I'm also a CrossFit athlete, so that's kind of my next part of stuff. So
yeah, okay, let's quickly jump onto that then, Amanda. You've opened this can of worms, so dig in. Any thoughts about next season? Just like the change to structure of the season, or what has that affected? Sort of. Okay, here we'll tie this all in together, right? So with all the changes to the season, the structure to the season, the way maybe you might change your approach to competition training, all of that, which will then obviously factor in as well to grid season, because the thing I love about watching all of you guys is how many competitions you manage to squeeze in between grid matches. That's
Amanda's crazy. Amanda's crazy. Absolutely not.
So shoot, whatever you want to say, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, the new structure definitely does change what I think I want to do for this season. I haven't made any like definitive decisions on anything, but there's a good chance I will not be competing in the CrossFit Games season this year, but that does not mean I will not be competing at functional fitness competitions.
Very cool.
Like thank you. I'm still doing, like, I have Wadapalooza coming up in January. I'm on an elite female team. We qualified for that elite division. I'm competing individually and team at Fittest of the Coast in February. And then after that, it will be, I don't know, but very high likelihood that I will not be signing up for the Open for the first time since 2017.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Will you do the Rogue qualifiers?
I will probably do the Rogue qualifiers this year. Yes. I mean, I don't know do we know when those are?
No.
For 2025. But yeah, there's like, I'm going to probably stick to trying to do stuff like that, like Rogue and Wadapalooza and just kind of all these competitions that I want to compete in person. I don't want to compete online. Like that, that's me. I don't want to compete online.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way as me, and I know there's a lot of people that are gonna go on season as normal, and I support anybody's decision. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I do think, and I think I said this on the last show because I had a couple of people that, again, we were talking about their 2025 season, is that there are a lot of great events you can go to if you want to go to in-person events that have like the highest caliber of athletes as well. So in the past, it seemed sometimes like, there'll be some events you could go to, but it's sort of that middle of the pack kind of, whereas you can go, there's so many events you can go to where there are games athlete caliber athletes there. So if it's about,
absolutely.
and I always kind of feel the games, it was just the title, is sort of the name was the real thing that pulled people in, because it wasn't the prize money for most of the people, and it was a lot of money spent to go through the various stages of qualifications and to get there and stuff. So anyway, I don't know, I'm just interested to know what people are doing. Why wouldn't I?
As an affiliate owner, Vilma, how do you feel about the new structure?
So interestingly enough, I kind of suspected it was going this direction because of the sanctioned events by CrossFit HQ when they introduced the fact that you could do that. From a business perspective, having most people do the open recreationally, right? It makes it fun. They go in, they maybe get their first chest to bar or whatever. And they pay their $20 to CrossFit HQ to be a part of the community. I think this change in the format and forcing people to have a level 1 coach be their judge is great to maintain the caliber of athlete that's going to the next level of competition, but it is going to alienate the people who are just wanting to do the workout and an affiliate. So I think that will put a lot of pressure on affiliate owners to, even for people who, again, it's not that their experience doesn't matter, right? It's more along the lines of we want them to have a good time. And if there's one L1 in that class, how are you supposed to manage that massive group? Whereas before we could get away with just people getting their judges cert. For my demographic, we do an in-house intramural CrossFit Open to where they still get to participate. And then there's a cash prize at the end. So it doesn't affect my group except for my competitive athletes. For me personally, I just do the open as a formality. I don't have any aspirations to really compete on a high end with that. But it's going to be interesting to see what the changes in CrossFit Opens, how many people are actually going to sign up for the Open this year. And then
I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, I feel like in the context of CrossFit, there's a lot of changes going on. I put my pursuit of a red shirt on a pause for a little bit. A, life is crazy, but B, I want to see where this thing goes with CrossFit and everything that's going on. And so from a, mom and pop, the majority of my clients are just there to work out and have a great time. It's not going to affect my population as much. I'm curious to see in those highly competitive gyms what that's going to look like. And from CrossFit's perspective, how that will affect them financially.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've already got a red shirt. It says Wilds on it, and it's a championship jersey now. So don't worry about that.
The most important red shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I guess, so I was looking at, there's an Instagram group that is I can't remember what it's called now, Association of Fitness Judges or something like that. Or no, it was Team Judgment that actually put this up, and they'd screenshot it and put up a post asking judges about how do they feel about this, because obviously a lot of these judges that judge at local comps don't have an L1. They'll have their judging certificate at L1. But someone did raise a point that it is only, it's only really for that 1% that are going to go over that need that. So actually, I'm thinking to the affiliate I go to that has one of the highest signups for participants in the UK, but the majority of it's not going to change anything for the majority of those people, because they don't even know what the CrossFit Games is. They just don't, they don't know, and they don't care. They do it because that everyone's doing it and they want to be on this thing. And then similarly, we usually have 3 or 4 teams that have been made up within the Open, and then there'll be points for your workout, but also points for who brought the most cakes, or who did fancy dress, or who did this or whatever. Like, you know, there'll be other ways. Last time they like each week somebody had a different way of like doing something to raise money for charity. So like each team took responsibility each week. So there's kind of all this other stuff, and they're all signed up for the Open, and it will be judged probably by people that don't have an L1.
Right.
But they're also going to be so far down on that it is not going to impact anybody that's actually going to make it through that 1% to the next level. So I don't know.
I think it affects those athletes who over the last, when did the quarterfinals get introduced? 2021?
Yeah, like 3 years ago.
Yeah, so 3 years ago. It's honestly those athletes that over the last 3 years that maybe their goal isn't semifinals, their goal isn't the games, but their goal is quarterfinals. And now like a company that says it's about the affiliates, it's about the community, and now the entire season is for the top 1%.
Right.
That's
What's
the other
funny
thing
is
that's
that
kind of yucky about it to me.
They got angry last year because they were like, what do you mean top 25? Like it should be top 10.
I know there's like
I was 11%, and now you know I was working towards top 10. And
right, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? But like they took away like, you know, the top 10% was still a lot of people. The top 25% was even more people. But like, you know, now it's really that top 1%, and kind of same thing. But like the affiliate that I'm at, I don't know. There were a good handful that made it last year for quarterfinals in the top 25%. And the couple years before, we had a few that would make it every year for the top 10. And now it's like those athletes that have been like, I'm gonna qualify for quarters, and like now that's gone. So that makes me sad for those athletes.
It's going to be interesting though, because like I see where CrossFit is going, right, with like the sanctioned events and ways that they can make money. I do see that there's going to be a drop of registrations for people doing the Open. I think just because the fact that they're going to have to go find a level 1 to judge their stuff is going to be a pain in the ass. So there's like an additional barrier of entry. But as an affiliate owner who has had people go to quarterfinals or the next stage of competition, it's a nightmare. It disrupts our entire class format.
It does.
Like, it's unfair to like the 99% of the people who do the workouts too, not taking anything away from those people who've reached that next level of competition, but it changing from 10% to 25% actually, in my opinion, made things worse as an affiliate owner, because I
agree.
You had so many more people qualifying, which is great, but then it's like, holy shit, like I have to hold a whole separate class because it's going to disrupt the entire format of our daily affiliate operations. I think that they're trying to find something that's in the midway point. I think it's great that so many other competitions are available for athletes like Amanda or some of our other teammates, where they don't have to go through the Open qualification process anymore if they don't want to still be competitive in CrossFit. I think that that's a really good change, so that if you just have a bad season or the workouts didn't line up in your favor, or it was like highly specialized programming, it doesn't adversely affect athletes who are really actually good.
I mean, I just think, I mean, here we go. Let's go controversial on this one. But like, what was the point in quarterfinals anyway? Like, of being like, oh, that's my goal, I want to make it to quarterfinals, and it's kind of like, yeah, but why? Like, for what? Like, I get it if you can make it to quarterfinals to then go to semifinals and actually get to compete in person, great. But if you are like top 25, you know, you're at the 24, the 23 percentile, and it's like, well, great, you get to pay money to do another, like a couple more online workouts,
right?
Why don't you save that money and go and spend that money on the registration to actually do a local comp, where you'll probably have a better time, you'll make some memories, you get some pictures from the event. Like, it will be probably more meaningful for you than just doing another online workout.
Agreed. And also there's so much
you could do for free anyway if you want to, if you're not going to qualify. So you could just steal the workout and do it.
Look at the step up debacle from the workouts last year, right?
Quarterfinals last year, yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, you know, great, you opened up quarterfinals, but now you created a standard that's really easily, like, it's hard to judge. People can easily make mistakes. And now people are not getting to the next stage of competition because of it, or there's all this drama around standards, just like we were talking about grid, right? There's all this drama around standards. They already say, oh, CrossFitters don't do things right. And then now we have all this controversy about, oh, well, even the professional judges couldn't get it right, because there was that whole group that I think it was Mayhem hired to come in, and they couldn't even judge it right. So I do think the change to getting rid of a lot of the online stuff is important. There are certain aspects in online competition, like pistols, that are not great to have in there because they're difficult to judge. Same thing with the step-ups. And I think that having more things in person with judges that are certified will keep things on the leaderboard a lot cleaner.
I mean, I'm going to say I quite liked when we had sanctional events.
Me too.
I liked the problem with that was that it was coupled with the people qualifying through the Open, and it was like, it was messy to explain to people, because you're like, so he won, so he's going. Yeah, but he was already going because he actually qualified through the Open. So, so it's the person that came second. No, the person that's second, they actually came first at another event. So it's a person that came third. But if it was just a bit cleaner with like, no, there are going to be X number of events throughout the season, and you can go there, and basically maybe the whole podium goes from each of these events, and that's your top athletes that are there, like clear that way, then I'd be like, great. And
I've
then,
got a good setup for that.
Go for it, Amanda.
Regionals
was dope. I went
back to the freaking what they like. Take it back to regionals, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be no perfect system, unfortunately. Yeah. Like there's not, but like regionals is basically what you just said, right? You qualify through the Open, you go to regionals, the top 5 from the regional go to the games. Bam.
Yeah.
Regionals.
But I think if you
just to touch on what you had said earlier, spending another $50 on quarterfinals is exactly why RJ did not do them last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
he just didn't like literally what was the point.
Yeah. Agreed.
I know some people that sort of waited, they wanted to see what the workouts were going to look like, and then they would make their decision. But like even
that was Pat,
but at that point, I just can't understand why, like I get paying for the Open, you get to be on the leaderboard, everyone's on the leaderboard, that's kind of cool, like, but then if you know you're going to be at the bottom of the quarterfinal, it very much just feels like being able to say,
participation.
That's exactly what it is. Absolutely.
Quarterfinals, which I don't have that killer drive. That's why I haven't jumped on a plane and flown over to join a grid team, because I'm more than happy to be like, you guys are fitter than me, you do it. I'll just sit back here and watch. That's absolutely fine. I probably feel that way about quarterfinals as well.
You can try for the Wild in 2025.
I'll wait until Vilma's having a year off and see if I can fill in.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, to Amanda's point and kind of circling back to grid, it's fun to watch stuff in person, right? So like, I do think regionals is cool. I got to go. That was like my first year as an affiliate owner was the last year that they did it. And it was a ton of fun. It built the community. It gets people together. I think those in-person events are really cool. The same thing with grid, right? So like having everyone there, it was great on the last match. We have a bunch of friends on all kinds of different teams. Even our dinner that same night, we had 2 of the Sharks players join us. So like I know, blasphemy. I'm not going to name who they are, but it was great.
And if they're also the same people that Mia's not going to name that were cheering you on, then we're in trouble.
But like, it's there's something to be said about in-person competition, the amount of pressure, the spectator involvement, the environment, the energy. It's so very different. And I think that if they did bring back regionals or emphasize a little bit more of the in-person competition, that would be fun. It would standardize the judging. And then even with grid, getting people to come watch a grid match. If you've never seen one, it's totally different than anything else you've ever seen in the CrossFit.
It's wild.
Yeah, literally.
Atlanta Wild.
I was waiting for you.
But, that's one thing that, like, if you do end up being somewhere where you can come to a match, like we told all the people at Riptide, or we had some people from the Vegas gym that we dropped into come to our matches in Vegas, or even if you can watch them on the live stream, just to see, like the skills that these athletes have, B, their backstories. So, like, we have amazing people on our team. Like Sydney is a full-time student. She works 2 jobs. Amanda, she works her ass off. Mia's the queen of everything. Like she does all the things. But to know their story, to get to follow it and to be able to watch it online is amazing.
You've been called away, Vilma.
Hi, Brandon.
So
Yeah. He's saying, what were you saying about 2027? Yeah, okay. I mean, all of this talk about in-person events has made me think, yeah, I need to go out and hunt down some big sponsors that will, for some reason, support my trip to Vegas next year to watch Grid.
Well, I don't think we're going to Vegas next year.
No? Jolly B.
Mia, are we going to Vegas next year?
Oh, I honestly have no idea.
Mather, if you're watching this, please don't take us back to Vegas.
Because I think like the way that it works with
Did you not enjoy? Well, hold on a second. Whoa. Please don't take us back to Vegas.
Let's just talk about
Vegas. Okay, here's the
Fuck.
thing. The trip out to Vegas, yes. Like, here's the thing. Once we were there and whatever, it was fun. Vegas is fun. It's Vegas, of course. But the thing is, it's very expensive to get out to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, and we're not professional athletes. We all paid for most of our trip out there, you know? So it's just like, it's expensive. So I just don't want to go to Vegas again.
Yeah.
Like my understanding with Vegas was it was a 2-year agreement with Mr. Olympia. And so we originally did, and they alternate between Vegas and Orlando. So now that we've got Vegas out of the way, if we do continue with Mr. Olympia, then it would be Orlando next year, from what I understand. Don't quote me.
Perfect. They can go to Epic Universe.
Yes. So, but yes. And, you know, in regards to your original question, Jason, about like prepping for next season, obviously, you know, I have the affiliate things and CrossFit, but I also think a lot of us are talking about trying to get together sometime between now and then, because we do actually like each other out in the real world and off the grid. Yes. So we all live in all different parts of the country, but I think a big focus, at least for me and on the girls' side, is to stay in touch and stay connected some way, somehow, with the girlies from the wild, or the bitches from the wild, which is their group chat name.
Bitches of the Wild. Look us up.
Bitches of the Wild.
Yeah, you need to
Instagram page for it.
I could.
Yeah. I mean, probably that will be enough to then monetize. You monetize that account, and that will pay for all your trips to.
Probably. Honestly, if some of the conversations in our group chat got out, we might get in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, like Sydney's Thursday morning pep talk before championship?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jason, we can't say it live. We can't do it.
No.
We can't.
Okay, we'll end the episode here, and then you can tell me. Yeah. Okay.
Schmanel schmizzers.
Oh my God.
Okay. So Mia, it looks like you need to, rent a massive house or something for these girls to come over and do some team building weekend or something. So
I am happy to do it. Vilma helps me a lot with that stuff.
Yeah, Vilma is like Mia's the owner, right? So we call her Mama Mia. She's not just because it goes with the ABBA song, but also because she is like our mama, because she's our owner. But then Vilma is definitely like other team mom. She helps, like she organizes all of.
She's a secretary. I know she is, because
I'm the assistant. So
she organizes the run-throughs that we have at the gyms that we go to. She was like, okay, we're going to team dinner here afterward.
Secretly, it's because I want to eat decent before a match. I've hit this age where I can't eat the way I used to in my 20s and try to perform. I think everyone
can't just have hurricane snacks before every match.
It's horrible. I think the majority of our team, honestly, a lot of us are over 30. The vast majority of our team, so I try to
Pat and Tristan and Sydney.
Yeah, I think
might
that's
be the only ones not over 30.
Yep.
Children.
So
bebes,
where the food.
Tyler and RJ are 29.
Oh, they're not.
Oh yeah, RJ is the same age as
both turn.
Patrick.
I know RJ turns 30 next year.
I know Tristan is exactly 10 years younger than me, and I was like,
Tristan is a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
He is for sure. Yeah.
He did a
Yeah.
good job this year. It's a lot of pressure to
He
be
did.
a rookie on a team like that. Not saying that we're tough, but I mean,
Yeah.
you have to think like a lot of these players have been playing for a very long time.
Well, I'm a little bit
Mhm.
worried now because Mia said that she had written both of your names down in her book. She didn't
Okay.
say why she'd written them, and I'm just worried there's a like they're getting old section, and she's just putting.
Probably.
Getting ready to
No,
retire.
I mean, she probably wrote everybody's
No,
names
no.
down.
We do have a retirement category.
That's fair.
Okay. I have people in my brain for that side.
Okay, we're gonna have to end this soon so I can get all the off-air
Juicy
questions
details.
answered before I
I'm
forget
sure
them.
Mia put down everybody's name in her book. We just don't know.
Yeah,
What
Or what?
you just don't know if there's like a smiley face or an angry face next to it. You have to-
We're gonna get a text message. We have
One
to
of
try
these.
out here. I'm gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
Let me also just say that John is blowing up my text messages right now.
Hi, John.
Can John join us?
John is blowing up my text right now.
What have I said? I think is he?
He told me to first. He told me to get unhinged, sis.
Get unhinged.
Then he said, "Oh my God, Mia."
Oh, here he is.
And then he did send something. Oh, hi.
Hi.
You can send him the link if you want him to jump on quickly before we go.
Oh,
Just like, yes.
Jonathan.
John does it a lot for us too. When I'm like panicking,
John's
going, who am I after on ladder? I look for John, and he's
I know. I think I
always-
ask him at least 4 times for every ladder and every sprint relay. I'm like, wait, okay, who am I after? And then I'll be like back a minute and a half later. Who am I after?
John is my organized half. He is fucking phenomenal at it. He is so good. He's so professional. He speaks well in public. He looks great on camera. I am definitely the like emotional, like supercharged, like ready to fight one.
Yeah.
Me and Mia are very similar in that way.
Times where he has been like, you know, he'll just text me privately. He'll be like, calm down. It's okay. Just wait before you say something.
It was only chalk. Amanda didn't mean anything by it.
I would never say anything bad about Jonathan.
On now, bitch.
also a co-owner.
Yes. Yeah, so Jonathan's actually the other owner of the Wild. So this will be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we wait for him to do his hair, before.
Hopefully he's actually at home.
Jason, he was like, I was trying to get off this call. Surprise!
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, that was quick.
Jonathan!
Hi.
Other owner of the Wild. Look at his name.
Other owner of the wow. How did you have time to write that? Wow, that's so you've been monitoring the call so far.
He has been. He's been in the chats and in the text.
Have they behaved themselves adequately?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
He's
So
like, maybe not Amanda so much.
Mia was just about to tell us all of your secret plans for 2025.
Yeah, tell us, John.
Can we hear that?
You get a hint because now I'm like, oh my God, should I have a plan for the off season?
The plans aren't necessarily like, I think me and I don't really say like we don't really have like a big say in like roster stuff, but I think me and Mia's plans are more just like how we want to organize the season, how we want to run as an organization. I mean, because I joined in on the ownership team halfway through the season, so I think for me and I, 2025 is officially our fresh start. So how do we want to, you know, I work in pro sports now, so how do we want to run the organization as professional as we can within the means that we have? I think is the biggest thing for us. How we want to treat the athletes, what we want the athletes to have access to. Like those are more the plans that we were talking about. It wasn't necessarily like who's on the team, because I think regardless of where everyone's at right now, I think everyone does need to decompress a little bit from the season and take some time to like reflect on the win and whether or not they want to return, are physically ready to return. I mean, that there's a lot going on. The season may start earlier next year. So like, that's another thing that people need to like consider is like your CNS is fried after every single race. And it does take a long time to recover from that sometimes, especially in a double header. So I think it's
I didn't
more
feel better until yesterday.
Yeah. Like I think for me and Mia, it's more of just like, what are sponsors we want to go after? How do we want to handle finances next year? What are our priorities for finances next year? We want our athletes to feel like they're getting the best from us. And we want them to feel like we're as professional of an organization as Mia and I can possibly make it within our means. Obviously, if we had all the money in the world, it'd be a different story. But it's how best can we treat our athletes with what we have is really kind of our goal for next year. So it honestly was a lot of sponsor talk. Who we want to go after, ideas. We have very fortunate that we had a lot of relationships with people develop over the course of the season. Can we roll that momentum into 2025? It's like little things like that I think we're more working on. For me, it's just, what PR can I get? What press can I get about the Wild? Because I work in pro sports, I have access to people who have access to press. Like things like this definitely help us. So thank you. And also just like, social media wise, I hired a lot of Gen Z this year to help us out with our social media. Cause I'm not going to lie. I believe I was told I was millennial borderline Gen X. So, I'm not the most social media savvy person, but I hired Gen Z to do it for me, which is why I think our social media has grown. It's to come with territory of running an organization of sports where not everyone lives in the same place, and your return on investment for a sponsor just looks a little bit different. So it's just kind of, that's what we were more planning. So those are the plans that I'm talking about.
Yeah. And that's why he's my partner.
Yeah. I like it. Mia just sits back and is like, yeah. See, we're a team. we were both thinking that. So do you feel then going into the next season that, so one of the things that was mentioned, not in the most happy of lights, was sort of, you felt like maybe people weren't talking about the team this year. And I think somebody even said, even just look at what Grid was putting out. They weren't really focusing on our team as much. So going into the season as the defending champions, that kind of guarantees you have to be talked about, right? You have to be highlighted more because you were last year's champion. So you are the team to beat this year, like regardless of how you perform in a match, regardless of anything, that's a talking point, right? So do you feel that gives you a little bit more kind of weight to those conversations when you are talking to sponsors, and you can go in and say, we're the defending champs, they're going to be talking about us, so if your name's on on any of our stuff, it's going to get seen because we're going to be talked about, no matter what. So is that why kind of these conversations can already have been, I guess, depending on how people finish the season, it will have been, okay, how can we rebuild? How can we, what are we going to do this year different from last year? Whereas you're coming in with okay, how can we ride this wave of momentum that we have being champions into the next season to set ourselves up in a position that's going to happen?
For sure. That's why Mia and I had our planning meeting before championship weekend even happened. Like we're scheduled to play on Sunday. Mia's planning meeting was on Saturday, because we had to play all the scenarios out, right? Like if we get eliminated in the semifinals, what's our messaging? If we win, what's our messaging? If we make it to the finals, what's our messaging? It's all about how you tell your own story to sponsors and what you have to give them something to latch onto. It's not just, hi, we're a team in Atlanta, please support us. Like you have to, the story's different. So obviously now, this is why, I think we're moving as quickly as we kind of have to, is because we just won. So now's the prime time to tell that story. And now's the prime time to get companies on board, and they're more likely to do it fresh than have to revisit it a couple months down the road. And also just for me and Mia are also planners, obviously. So we would rather not have to worry about anything 1 to 2 months before the season. We'd like to have everything kind of locked up by, February, March at the latest. So
I would say, if we're being completely honest, we actually started talking about 2025 as soon as John came on board, which
Yeah.
was after the second match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he came on halfway through. We've already said that the season didn't start in the best way, finished really strong. So John's coming in going, well,
Thanks,
obviously
John.
you needed me here.
Lucky
That's my
charm.
part.
Okay.
And
Well, I was the assistant coach starting this
That's true.
season. I was just the assistant coach starting this season. So I was there in Orlando. I was there in Tampa. I was there. I just didn't jump on the ownership side until after Tampa.
I see.
You weren't in Vegas.
I was at a wedding. Sorry, guys.
Just say hurricane. Just say hurricane.
There's a hurricane.
Wasn't it a hurricane?
I know where he was.
We all know.
And he wasn't with me.
I'm not sure if Amanda, did you ever play for any other team besides the Wild?
No, this was just my second season, and I was on the Gainesville Wild, and
I will
that
say,
turned
like,
into the Atlanta Wild.
I came from a different team, and the coach was awesome. I love Matt. He's amazing. We did not have the type of backing in terms of like co-owners, assistant coaches that we have for the Wild. And it's crazy how hard these guys work, like Mia, John, Dan, to help get us as athletes the resources that we need so that we can get things done. So I will say that that's really nice. And as a player, it makes me push a little bit harder because I want to make sure that they're proud of me because they're taking time out of their schedule to help us. Our sponsors, it's crazy. I have a hard time remembering the whole list. We have so many people on board just because of those two. So like, thanks guys. You guys
I have a doc on my phone that I have to use to copy paste because I'm always gonna forget.
That's what I did. Yeah, so you always forget one.
You always forget one, and then you feel really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
It is our big picture goal, right? It is to make sure that our players are taken care of as best we can so that the only thing they have to focus on is just performing out on the grid, taking care of themselves. Not worrying about raising $5,000 to get out to Vegas, like that. Sorry to go back to Vegas, but like the finances were truly the most stressful part of the whole thing. And once we got out, we were fine. But like leading up to it was a lot. There were a lot of emotions about the
a lot of
thing.
emotions, a lot of burpees,
lots of questions, right? Like, are these people even going to show up? Like, are people even going to be able to make it out there? So, but we did it. And I think that I do personally feel like that also brought the team together a little bit more. Not that they weren't like super cohesive in the beginning anyway, but that just kind of like helped. And I think after Vegas, that's also why we did so well on our final weekend. Like everybody was just like locked in with each other. Everybody was just like these are my teammates. This is my family. Like we've been through so much shit together this season. Like let's fucking rock this bitch.
That's what everybody said.
And that's why
those exact words.
Yeah, and that's why Jonathan takes all the meetings.
But even in Vegas, like, weren't you at a meeting in Vegas? Or was that Tampa?
That was Tampa.
I mean, literally, they're there to help us compete, and they're taking meetings for our sponsors. Yeah. It was crazy.
Well, it's interesting, is it? Because within like all of the kind of the functional fitness, CrossFit world and space, it's like, few are those that are earning from like competition, right? That are getting the big paychecks at the big events. And then the majority, it's always this conversation of like, how do you have to balance like being an athlete with being an influencer, because really you're reliant on sponsors, and the sponsors, you're only competing a couple of times throughout the year at kind of big events where people are going to see you. So it's your social media presence, and it's what are you producing? Is it getting engagement? Are people seeing it? Is it putting your sponsor in a good light? And it's interesting, that Jonathan's mentioning like having hired all these Gen Z people for the Instagram, because I hadn't, like, it hadn't clicked until after you've said that. And then I'm thinking, yeah, I've seen stuff that's been coming up on on the Wild's Instagram. You've been doing the kind of like cutting to all the different athletes on the team and asking, random questions about, there's like Star Trek versus Star Wars, stuff like that, just kind of random stuff, which is so vital for like knowing, because the difference with me following an athlete, it's very easy to know their personality if I follow them. And I've had this conversation with a number of athletes about like how fake it can feel sometimes when it is just, here's my sponsor, you need to go and buy their product. And I'm like, I never see you talking about anything else, or you know, if it's a post from you, because I went for a period where I should go back to doing this, where I was trying to like switch my Instagram into following, to showing me those people that I actually follow. So get rid of all the sponsored sort of stuff, and then trying to comment, like and comment on every post from all the people that I follow, but comment something meaningful. And it's interesting how hard that can be at times, because sometimes you see a post and you're like, this is just an ad.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can say on this, like to add meaning to it. And if that happens every time you see that person's profile, you just become like, okay, this is just, you know, what's the point? This is just a page of ads, versus somebody that I get to know their personality. And then sometimes they'll advertise a product in there, because which they have to do, you know, they need to make money, but I can still see their personality coming out in it, or at least I'll believe them that they probably do use it, sort of thing. But it's hard when you've got a team full of people.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I should care about all of them. I don't know them.
Yeah.
How can I care about all of them? Yeah. Amanda, did you watch Strange New Worlds yet?
No.
I'm
sorry.
That's the best Star Trek series. You should have watched it. Okay, never mind.
I'm sorry. We just finished watching all of the original 6 episodes the other night.
Oh, of Star Wars?
Of Star
really?
Wars. Yeah. We were rewatching. I hadn't seen them since I was a kid.
You were a kid.
And we just watched episode 3.
Okay.
Finished it. But yeah, I'll try to get into Star Trek next.
Yeah, we could skip a lot of them, but I would say watch that one. I think it's the best one, but never mind.
Okay.
See, I was commenting meaningful things on the posts I was seeing. That was one of the posts. I watched it. I heard Amanda's answer. I gave her some advice. Yeah, very good. Okay, interesting. Well, I look forward to seeing then what comes in 2025, because I think it is interesting with that momentum. I suppose then some of your players will have that momentum as well. So they might be a bit tricky when you start talking about re-signing them. They might kind of start coming along with, I can see Amanda being like, well, yeah, I'll come. Here's my rider. This is what I expect in my my private dressing room when I arrive at every event from now on.
Dressing?
Yeah.
I was like, you mean the bathroom at the convention?
No. I mean, they'll bring, like, maybe they'll have a trailer for you. Like, you know, like the kind of like those Hollywood trailers where they'll have.
Yeah, it'll be John with 2 beach towels.
Yeah. I'm not high maintenance like that.
She's not. We actually, I think we are pretty lucky. We don't have anybody who's like super high maintenance on the team at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Vilma is, but she takes care of herself.
Yeah,
right.
Sleeping arrangements are very important to me.
I'm pretty high maintenance, but I take care of myself.
Yeah, we handle our shit, and then we just show up and do the thing.
So maybe like a mattress sponsor would be good.
That would be
That would be awesome. Or like a traveling mattress topper.
Yeah, like just something. Because God, the older we get, the worse it is.
Masks, headshots.
I mean,
Griffin has said that he's had a sponsor that has delivered mattresses to his competitions before Vilma. So,
because like I have like a CBD CBN thing I take. Then I wear the face mask and the earplugs, and like even then I struggle. So a lot of it has to do with just, I don't know, just like my brain. This year was kind of super stressful, and like I just for the first time experienced adrenal fatigue, like legitimately, where I'm like, holy shit, like this is normal. So I think that's a big part of it. So maybe next year won't be so bad.
Yeah.
Vilma and I are big early bird CBD fans. Early bird.
I've also gotten onto those as well.
Yeah,
they are great.
They do help a lot. I like the party now. I don't for sleeping. They make me paranoid. But if I don't want to drink, so like, yeah, it's weird. I get a weird sense of doom, but again, I think that's related to life.
Wow.
I mean, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and passed right before the start of the season. I just put like my dog of like 12 years down, like what, 10 days ago, 11 days ago. So it was just like a really crazy year for me. So part of it makes me wonder if that's like why sometimes I get that sense of doom or I'm not sleeping. So it's a couple things.
Yeah, maybe. That's sometimes I just feel a bit sad and depressed about things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm pretty sure that's probably quite normal.
A sense of doom where I'm like, but around people or as a substitute for drinking, they are actually pretty great. You should have seen Sydney when she had 2 early bird CBDs in Vegas. That was a whole. That was a whole.
I heard about that.
That's why I didn't go out with you guys in Vegas.
No, that wasn't before we went out. That was before the match. After we went out, it was really fun too. That was fun.
You would have liked going out with us in Vegas.
No, I would have. And I heard someone called me a hoe for it.
That is still here.
It was Amanda.
You heard somebody called you a hoe? I texted
RJ read me the text messages in the morning.
I texted you that you was a hoe.
We had a blast. Me, Carrie, and Amanda danced our asses off. It was a blast. It was super fun. And then I had to catch a flight at 5 a.m. I was like, this sucks. But yeah, you know, Tyler, you're not the only one. Chris Chaffee from the Brigade, he always talks about how those early birds just like knock him out. Like they are definitely intense if you're not used to taking that kind of stuff pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Interesting. There you go. So are they a sponsor? Not yet. They're coming on board after this.
They were a league sponsor this year.
Yeah.
Our league sponsor.
Yeah.
But Mia's about to get a text message with a new list I just brainstormed. So
yeah, and I will say like the league does a really good job bringing in cool sponsors. Like Element was a sponsor. Sky Hill last year or the year before last was a sponsor. I love their grips. I still recommend them even though they don't.
Sleeves.
Innovate, another one which I think Amanda still works with, but they were a former sponsor. I love their shoes, and they always have amazing sales. Grassroots is one. Yeah, Grassroots is one that I'm still working with. And so they do like regeneratively farmed meat, which is delicious and amazing. And also conscious of like the environment and like how the animals are treated. But the league has done a really good job bringing in sponsors. And so has Mia and John with like MRI and
MRI is awesome.
Yeah, great group.
Beast Pack, their
belts. Yeah, I was Beast Pack. The belts are amazing. Yep.
So my old belt from
and not that expensive.
Yeah, not that expensive.
They're like $35-$40.
My old belt from the number people, they shall not be named. Literally would like bust blood vessels.
Yeah, I had that too.
Like the first time it happened, I got out of the shower and I was like, oh my God, what happened? Like, what did I do? But the Beast Pack belts, they are so comfortable, but so super, super supportive. I'm obsessed with them, like legitimately. And that's one thing too, that John and I talk about all the time. Like what, if we bring on a sponsor, we never want it to be a sponsor where we're just like, hey, like, thanks for your money or thanks for your product. And we don't actually use them. Like our promotion is genuine for everybody that we partner with.
Yeah.
And that does make sense.
Oh yeah, Zero FG.
Literally so good.
I can't keep it in stock.
We all actually do really love these.
Like legitimately, I'm ordering 2 to 3 cases a week for my gym. It's crazy.
Hey girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And I sound
it does make it kind of hard to find sponsors if that's sort of like the moral that we back our sponsorships with. But it is something that John and I like truly do stand behind. Like we want to work with people, one, that also aren't just like single season signs, if that's what you want to call them. Like we do want to build relationships with people. We do want to support the Atlanta area businesses. We do want to partner with people that have supported our players in the past and potentially want to upgrade to, not necessarily upgrade, but like move on to like a team sponsorship. But we're not like disingenuous with that type of stuff.
In a world in which in a world in which we don't all live in the same place and can do events for them and do promotional things with them all the time. I mean, I think the best way we can support a supporter is by using their stuff and just wearing it in our everyday training and drinking the NO2 from MRI in our regular training and drinking a 0FG on the way to work. Like, I think that's the best way we can support them is that way, because it's true, we can't attend a festival with them. We're just not all here, and that's okay. And and some companies have said, like, hey, like, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, well, as much as I appreciate what you're offering us, we can't offer that back to you, and we would feel bad not being able to do that for you. And that just that I would feel really bad taking whatever you're offering me if that's a crucial part of your contract that we can't fulfill upon. So it's just negotiating and figuring out what works best for the company too.
But you've got to clip this bit where Vilma and Amanda are going off on all the past sponsors. They're not even sponsors anymore, but they just like, oh, but we love this stuff so much, we're still talking about it. And then you tell the sponsors, look, guys, come on, this is how they're going to talk about you.
I mean,
for as long as you're sponsoring, and probably when you stop.
And like, honestly, any sponsors that like we've been introduced with, even with the league or with, just the Wild outside of the league, it's always been like it's never been forced on us. It's always been organic. We have the opportunity to try these products and make sure they work. So like, I had a lot of questions about Lubricin. They were a sponsor for the league. And like, I was like, I want to try it first and make sure that I like it. And it's great for me. It's great for my demographic, but I never felt pressure from like the league or my team to ever promote something that I didn't truly believe in. But I will say the people that Mia and John have brought on board, like Beast Pack is no joke. Again, I'm 5'1", 130 pounds. A lot of your standard issue belts cut into my sides, and I pretty much have permanent bruising under my rib cage from wearing belts. And to have one that doesn't exacerbate that anymore is so nice, because it hurts. And then I sublux a rib and I hurt for like the whole week. And I'm like, Brandon, come pop my back, because I'm hurting. It's nice to not have to worry about that.
If
and I know that
no torso, girly, or guy, hit up Beast Pack. Also, they are super affordable. John said that earlier, but like, they sell backpacks, they sell grips, they sell knee sleeves. I have a 45-liter backpack that I think I bought from them at full retail price for $75. And it is legit. It also fits under the seat in front of you on the airplane.
Oh, that's such a big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
because I know, Amanda, our backpacks
one from
our backpacks certainly don't do that. Mine's a full. I brought mine to Taipei, and mine's a full pro carry-on.
Oh God.
I still do it though. I still take it as my personal item to go underneath.
I just kick it under there really hard.
And then they just like
they
give
don't
in.
stop me. I just do one of these.
Yeah, you just put your barbell down and then just say, yeah, this is my carry-on. Just
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, congratulations, Beast Pack. Well done. You've snuck in a sponsorship there. Brilliant. Exciting stuff. Okay, very good. I that was pretty much all. I didn't have copious notes with getting you guys on. Why would I? Who knew where it would go? Obviously, Sydney wasn't here to just call random members of her gym to come over and show their biceps on the stream. So there's time I'd allocated to that hasn't been necessary. But yeah, interesting. I am surprised that you didn't go up to everyone while their central nervous system is like in pieces and kind of at that point get them to sign up for the next 5 years. I mean, like while you're still in a daze, just
we would never take it
here quickly. Do you remember when you pledged?
Are we even allowed to like actually sign on for next year right now? When does that's not even happening anyway, is it?
No, not technically.
Yeah, not technically.
Oh, really?
When do LOIs? When can they start releasing those? Because I bet you there's going to be people freaking running towards the Wild.
I don't know yet, because there is talk of like dates changing.
Okay.
Right. Like there's talk about the season starting earlier, right?
Yeah.
Nothing confirmed.
Yeah. Which would push the process of everything a little bit further forward. So
what's the unofficial, nothing confirmed rumor about, like, when you say starting early? Like,
I heard May.
I think
what I heard.
I think I've heard May. I haven't heard anything earlier than that.
I think so. Yeah.
I think because with their model, they latch onto events, and so I think it's just a matter of like what events can you get in on, early enough. And I honestly
hopefully one in Georgia this year.
That's what I'm hoping.
And I think they were also waiting to find out what the new CrossFit season was going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the changes too, it's going to be a lot of people ending up in like Amanda's position or RJ's position where they're like, am I actually going to go to the next stage if I have to?
I'm not even going to do the Masters qualifier this year. So
yeah. And for me, it's like, it's not that I don't think I could make the games. I absolutely think I could, but I'm just like, that season looks not fun to me. So
yeah.
So if they could squeeze in a few extra grid matches, you'd be like, yep, that's good for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Do that. Yeah. And then
more often. That would make us so happy.
Yeah. And then hopefully Rogue will be in Scotland again next year. And
I want Rogue back in Austin.
I gotta renew my passport.
Sorry, girl.
I was so sad when they announced that it was moving.
Gotta renew my passport.
I was so happy, and the rumors swirling around when speaking to Katie in different ones of like, yeah, probably another year in Scotland would be good. Made me even happier. So but maybe we can get Grid to latch on to that, and you can have the final, in Scotland at the Rogue Invitational.
Oh man,
as a team owner,
fun to watch. Like, I do think that if Rogue Invitational knew more about Grid, they would realize that it is actually fun to watch.
Yeah, they had strong man and strong woman.
I mean, as a team owner, I'm going to ask for at least 3 more years for that. we got to build up some capital for that to happen. Then I'm all in.
Then you get the private jet of the
world. Just trying to get people out to Vegas.
I know.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though, Vilma, because like I feel like sometimes CrossFit and Grid try to stay too separate. So I feel like you always hear like, just because you're good at CrossFit doesn't mean you're going to be good at Grid, and like Grid's not CrossFit, and it's not. It's different. But there are so many parallels, and I would argue that if you're good at CrossFit, you're going to be good at Grid. That's my argument.
Because I do think,
I
like,
hate when people say that.
Like 3, 4, 5 years ago, where it was really a specialist-dominated sport, it was very different. I don't think it's specialist-dominated anymore. No. I think that you
definitely need those specialists.
Right. But that the majority, even like we have, for example, Sydney listed as a strength specialist, she's utility. She does everything. Right. So like, it's interesting because like now more and more and more, like the majority of our team, I would probably say outside of like 1 or 2, maybe 3 people are utility players.
Yeah.
With a bias.
Yeah. And so I think
even Carrie goes through the ladder.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I'm like, there's this like, I feel like they try to stay separate, but like, not that we have to like mesh, but it's like, I think there could be a relatively kind of cool, not necessarily partnership, but like, we don't have to be
it's
enemies,
like
if you will.
Hydrox, right? Like they exist in separate spaces, but there's crossover there, right?
Right.
I think with all of these things, it's so funny as well to hear people. So so there's the IF3 World Championships next month in Budapest. So I will be heading out to Budapest. I'm very excited to cover it. They've got more than 800 athletes will be there competing from all over the world. Like, exciting. But there are some people, speaking with the BF3, so the British one, like those are involved here. One of them said they were getting like loads of hate from like an affiliate owner for what they're doing, because it's kind of like, oh, you're trying to steal what CrossFit has done and do it yourselves and this and that. And it's like, well, no, CrossFit can never become a recognized sport because it's a brand. You will never see CrossFit at the Olympics. The example they use is like, you will never see Ironman at the Olympics. You will see triathlon, but similar kind of thing. And if it's a recognized sport, that means it can be taught in schools and you can actually get credit for that. And, you can potentially get money from the government for clubs and things like this. So there's like all this idea of why you'd want it as a sport. But there's this sort of blindness of, oh, you're stealing from CrossFit, so you can't do this kind of thing. Whereas I'm of the mind of like, if you see this and you're like, oh, I saw you, there was this big world championship functional fitness racing event. That looked amazing. I'd love to do something like that. How do I do that? Okay, come with me. Let's go to the affiliate. This is where you're going to train. This is how you're going to get good to go there. Similar thing, like with Grid, outside of those specialists, where you're going to be like, maybe we'll go to this strongman gym or maybe we'll go to this gymnastics gym. It's like, oh, you like grid, you're pretty fit, you're pretty good, you want to get better, you want to get fitter, come with me, let's go to the local affiliate. That's where you're going to train and get good at grid. So for me, all of these different things, and similar with high, like I know loads of people that have done high rocks and have trained at it at their affiliate. I know a lot of affiliates that are CrossFit affiliates and high rocks affiliates.
High rocks
They
affiliates,
that kind of do both. I just feel like all of these things funnel into the ecosystem of like, well, go to the local CrossFit affiliate. That's probably going to be the best spot for you to train to do any of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's me with my always balanced, mild.
Well, but kind of,
why can't we all just be
all these
friends?
things? At the end of the day, all these things, the more people who are interested in doing something fitness related, the better, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, like I think all of us, I mean, I know that like the four of us, I don't know you that well, Jason, but I know that the four of us all coach. So like at the end of the day, the more people are in the world of just trying to get healthier, I think that makes all of us happy. And if it's because you want to do a high rocks with a partner, they just announced high rocks in Atlanta for the first time, and it's going to be happening in April. Like if that's what you're going to work for, great. Like the goal shouldn't bother me, right? Like you're going to come to me anyway, and I'm going to train you. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, right? Like these are all just ways to get people interested in doing something fitness related. And I think
and then even the whole ecosystem that you're all relying on, right? So you've talked about sponsors. You need sponsors, which means you need people that want those products.
Correct.
Right.
And they're all going to be kind of fitness related products because that's the target demographic of people following you. So the bigger you can build that base of people that are just interested in certain types of drinks or certain type of apparel or shoes or whatever it may be, like, I'm sure, who we mentioned before, like Innovate, they're not going to care if you're wearing their shoes because you do grid, because you do CrossFit, because you do IF3, because you're going to do a high rocks. They just want you to buy their shoes. So like the more people that are just involved in the fitness space, great for all of these things. And then, that helps you because those companies are making more money. They can afford to throw some of it your way. So I don't know. But again, that's me just being my usual level-headed self. I'm so sorry. Let's burn it all down.
Yeah, but all just sounds too easy. We do. It just all is too easy sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Who knew we were going to detour for like 30 minutes to speak about sponsors and the business side of things? But, we can't bring on an expert without exploiting some of this knowledge. So thank you for joining us. I was impressed with how quickly you got on the call after they sent you a message. That was...
Well, when Mia texts you, log on, bitch, you kind of have to go. I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to click the link.
Okay. Mia, I might start using you to organize a few of my other shows.
Gotcha.
She's really good at it.
She's amazing. Like when you're like, well, who else would you reach out to since Sydney wasn't able to make it? I was like, I got it. She's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, I did say, when you said Mia, I said, oh, she'll definitely come on. I said she'll be more than happy to come on.
For sure.
She was, I think, when the first time you were coming on, she was the one that responded with like, "Uh-oh, this is going to be unhinged."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Did
know.
you say, "Uh-oh"? Maybe just get ready. I don't know. Anyway, well, thank you so much, Amanda, Vilma, Mia, John, for joining me. I was going to say this evening. It's the afternoon for you, but been this evening for me.
Evening now.
It's evening now. Well done. You've joined me on the dark side. Brilliant. Well, I'm looking forward. I will keep my eyes peeled. I will see what all the Gen Zers start pushing out on your Instagram about the upcoming season.
We love our Gen Zers.
They're great. They're so good.
Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to hire some Gen Zers.
Am I a Gen Z? What am I?
You are not.
But you're
sorry,
you're
no,
not.
you're
You're a
not.
millennial, babe.
You're a millennial like
babe.
us. The Gen Zer that I had, one girl's 2-3 years out of college, and the other one is currently a college senior at University of Georgia.
Okay.
I think anybody was it after 96.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the graphic
Patrick
designer
is
that I have
barely a
just
millennial.
graduated a year ago. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tristan is a Gen Z.
Tristan's Gen Z.
Yeah.
Oh. You guys got to warm up for this partner forward. I was like, how old are you again? Oh my God, I'm so much older than you. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm just going to look up what. So, okay. Millennial. Okay, there you go. So that's
right.
just checking what I am.
All
So
right.
81 to 96 is millennial.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. As I said,
There we go.
96.
We are all we're all millennials.
Yay!
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. But that's why I need to hire some Gen Z. Actually, I just need my son probably to take over. He's only 11 at the moment, so maybe he needs.
So that's Gen
a bit
Alpha.
more he needs a bit more training, but
Yeah.
he'll be like.
No, he might be okay.
He
Actually,
might be just fine.
Yeah. I see the stuff he watches, and that's when I feel old. And I'm like,
You should have seen my
I
attempt to make a
don't get
TikTok.
this.
It's
I don't know why
bad.
you're watching this.
don't
Is
ask me to make a reel.
It's just when like you watch something and I'm just like, but is this entertaining? Like, are you enjoying this? Yeah. I'm like, really?
Me and I were going to attempt a TikTok dance when we were together, and then we were like, "Man, maybe not." It's probably not.
I would have
on brand.
loved
Oh.
that.
Oh my god.
That would be good. Yeah. That needs to be like the first bit of content for going forward for the 2025 season. When you do an announcement, that's how it should come out.
Just me and
Just
me
be
doing a
you
TikTok
guys doing a
dance. All
TikTok
right.
dance and then some words popping up every time with like some new information.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, setting expectations for 2025.
That's all right. Hey, if I can help in any way, I'm always happy to. So if it's just with coming up with these amazing
I love it.
ideas, that's what I can do. You're welcome. You're more than welcome.
I attempted because when we were in Florida, the grid was set up next to the Zumba stage, so I was doing some Zumba.
We were doing Zumba on the side.
Yeah.
We were doing it behind the curtain, so it didn't look like we were just blatantly copying them. But we did do it behind the curtain.
Well, Grid is very good at incorporating elements from other sports, other skills into the. So maybe Zumba will make an appearance in the 2025 season.
I
Who
mean,
knows?
then I would actually be useful on the grid. So
Yeah.
John is a former professional ballroom
Professional
dancer,
dance.
Oh, are you? Interesting.
and he's very good. There was one routine from the Zumba stuff where I just looked at him. I was like, my hips don't move that way.
and I looked at her and I went, but mine do.
There we go. Well, and on that bombshell, we're ending here. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Hopefully, we might get some of your teammates on in the near future as well. So come
Oh,
back
I'm
to
sure
that
we
for that,
can.
people. And if you're still listening and you're curious to know the next show, it will be similar to this time, actually. It will be at 9 p.m. So that's for me. So that's 4 p.m. EST, 1 p.m. PST. And that's with Roderick, Mean for Time, and George, Coach GT. Will be catching up on memes and Rogue and stuff like that. So
Very cool.
come back for that, people. Anyway, until then, enjoy and go back and watch the old grid matches and see how well